My name's Tina Sultan and I've lived in Palmer's Green since 1974 in different houses and flats in Palmer's Green.
That's lovely. Now, as you know, we're particularly interested today in the baby clinic which used to be held in Broomfield House. Can you tell me a little bit about the clinic?
I first went there when my son must have been about 4 months old. It was for jabs and general advice from the health visitor. And it was a very splendid and grand place to go to. And I was desperately lonely at that time, having just moved into the area with the baby. And it was there that I started to get to know people.
Were you formally introduced, or was it just that you would sit next to different people when you were waiting to have the baby weighed?
I was formally introduced to one person. I used to live in the coach house on Cannon Hill, and I was introduced to a young mother who lived in the thatched house next door, which was a very, very grand sort of palatial residence, and I was living in a tiny little au-pair flat in the coach house, and the health visitor put us together.
Oh, that was nice. So did you become friendly?
No.
So the health visitor tried?
She tried, yes, she tried, but no, things developed naturally with other friends.
So the group that we're talking to today, did you meet one or more of them at the baby clinic, or did you meet one person and then they introduced you to the rest of the group?
The first person I met at the Baptist Church on Green Lanes in a 1 o'clock club, and that was Pearl, who died a couple of years ago. She was the first contact that I made, and then through her, little bit by little bit, I got to know other people.
Oh, that sounds good. I can remember myself as a young mother. It is that terrible loneliness, isn't it? And trying to find other people that have babies as well. But also, the thing is that you need people that you get on with, because necessarily, a bit like the thatched cottage person, you have nothing in common except having a baby of a similar age. When did you start meeting with the group? Sort of formally, do you think?
I think probably by the time my son was about 8 months old, which means I'd been in Palmer's Green for 6 months or so, and had made enough contacts, and we decided to meet in each other's houses, because in those days there was no Starbucks or anywhere like that, and if there had been, you didn't have the money to go and spend on it, so we would go to each other's houses once or twice a week, and it was good for the kids as well, because they just ran riot all over the place and socialised and got to know each other, and we could sit and talk to each other.
Oh, that was lovely. So how many of you do you think used to meet each week?
Oh, it would vary enormously, but I'm sure there must have been about 20. Sometimes all sorts of people used to turn up.
So how did they know about the meetings?
Word of mouth. One person would know another person and say, come round, and it was like that.
So did everybody hold them? Was it sort of organised about whose turn it was the following week?
It was fairly loose, because not everybody lived somewhere where they could invite other people. I mean, at the time I lived in an upstairs flat, so I did have some afternoons, but it wasn't so good at my place because there was no garden for the children to disappear into. So it tended to be more often the people who had larger houses, larger gardens, where everybody could spread out.
That sounds great. So most people weren't working when they had babies?
Most were not. Some were working part-time, but most of us were not working. I was working myself part-time. I worked as a cleaner for 2 or 3 hours a week at that time, and then later on in the cafe in the park.
Yes, we need to talk about the cafe in the park a bit later on. How did it develop, the group and the meetings? Did they just continue on an ad hoc fashion until the children went to school, or did they become more organised?
They didn't become more organised, but we did develop. Some of us developed a group which was the Palmer's Green Nursery Association, and we were campaigning for nursery provision. Those of us who did want to go to work and were unable to because of the lack of affordable childcare. So that provided another forum in a way for meeting and friendships to develop.
Were you successful in the nursery provision?
No, we weren't in the long run, but we were successful in some ways, and I think we developed awareness and some skills through doing it, and maybe heightened awareness in Palmer's Green amongst other people.
Because there are a lot of play groups and private nurseries, but I don't know of any state nurseries.
No.
And do you think that the play groups and private nurseries developed because of your campaign? Or?
No, I shouldn't think so for 1 minute.
But they did seem to proliferate
Yes,
after that time.
I don't know. I can't answer that really. I can't really remember exactly.
No, but it does sound like a good... Did you campaign to the local MP?
Yes, oh yes.
And what was their reply?
I think they were encouraging, and we had encouraging articles in the local papers, but encouragement doesn't take you all that far. It was money. We had some response at one stage from Metal Box Factory, because there were premises there which we thought we might be able to use, but it never really got anywhere. So
you had these lovely meetings. You developed a pressure group. And then I suppose the children all gradually started school. So
they started school, and most of us then did start working at that stage. And we saw each other much less often, and got together. Well, one or two who were close friends we saw all the time. But then we got together as a little group, those who were still the remnants who still lived in Palmer's Green, and we meet now most Mondays in the pub.
Most Mondays in the pub. So, I mean, how long do you think this has been going on?
Which, the latter? The Mondays
well,
and
the
whole thing.
The whole thing?
The whole thing is close on 40 years, I suppose. Well, my son was 39 yesterday, and it started shortly after he was born.
So that's amazing, isn't it?
It's a long time.
It's a long time. I'm going to ask you about the Broomfield Park Cafe and the lack of hygiene therein.
I shared the job with another mother, and we worked 4 hours each a day and looked after each other's children. And we lost the job eventually because I was sacked, so we were both sacked. And it was because I wasn't happy with their idea that it was okay to put out meat pies into the hot plate and then put them back into the fridge and put them out again the next day. And equally with the cream cakes, that you could take them out of the fridge, put them into the display unit, put them back, and keep doing that. I thought we were going to poison somebody. So I had a big argument in the end with the manager, and was sacked the next day.
Oh goodness! Did you get in touch with the sort of public health people, the local authority?
No.
You didn't whistleblow?
No. No, I didn't.
But it must have been a bit of a blow for that to happen.
Oh,
your
yes.
only source of income.
Well, it wasn't my only source of income. It was my only source of income, but I was married. But yes, it was devastating to lose the job, yes.
Because that was so organised, looking after each other's children.
Yes, it was a good break.
Thank you, Tina. That was
Thank you.
great. Thank you.